Alright, hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's talk about something awesome today, and that is how to tell the difference between easy, medium, hard, and an extra category that I created on the fly called legendary, which I got the inspiration from Halo for, by the way, if you were wondering. I don't know if you were wondering or not, but that's where I got that from. So we're going to look at that. Why is that important? So if you know the difference between easy, medium, and hard, and what I like to call legendary problems, then you can tell what kind of answer you're supposed to be looking for, and you know what to expect. All right, so for easy problems, and I'll use my drawing tool here, for easy problems, let's see what we want to write on the thing. There we go. For easy problems, we're looking for whatever answer is like most in our face. So it's the in your face answer. In your face. In your face. So that would be whatever answer seems to just kind of come up, or maybe you don't have to do a lot of math to start with, and you just kind of get the answer. So for instance, number one is very likely to be an easy level question because it's at the beginning. They don't do a like for sure structure of this, like exactly this many easy, medium, and hard level questions, but generally speaking, it's still ordered from easy to medium to difficult level questions. So when you get to the first roughly third of the multiple choice questions here, they're likely easy, maybe a few mediums. All right, so number one, easy level problem. All right, if x minus 1 over 3 equals k and k equals 3, what's the value of x? All right, and this, if you could like maybe make a case for it being on the higher end of easy, meaning like a little closer to medium. It's not like the absolute easiest thing ever. This take a little bit of work, but it doesn't actually take that much work. I mean, if you think about it, you just plug in k equals 3, so you just do this. And then we solve for x. So multiply by 3. Boom, boom. X minus 1 equals 9. Add 1 to both sides, so x equals 10. All right, so that didn't take that long. That took me, what, 20 seconds maybe? If it takes you less than 30 seconds to solve the problem, it's probably an easy level problem. If you are in the latter third of the problems and it seems like it's going to take you less than 30 seconds to do the problem, then you're pretty much guaranteed that whatever answer you came up with is probably wrong, because hard level problems take at least roughly a minute, if not more, to solve. All right, so that's easy level problems. Then you have medium level problems. So this is sort of, the medium level problems are actually the hardest to figure out. Right? So with easy, it's the in your face answer, meaning it's the one that seems most obvious, the obvious answer. Either by way of solving it in less than 30 seconds, or maybe you can just kind of look at the answer choices and just eliminate from there. But for medium level problems, it's a little muddled. It's like M for muddled. You kind of just want to take it with a grain of salt. This is kind of the grain of salt. All right, so it's not necessarily going to take less than 30 seconds, but you couldn't necessarily be like, oh, well, I think I get this answer, so that's probably wrong. That mentality works for hard level questions, but maybe not for easy. Or maybe not for medium. So let's look at a medium level. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So number 4 might be a medium level. I would say number 4 is medium because there's a ton of reading. All right. So 1, there's a ton of reading. There's a ton of reading. Look at all that reading. Ugh, it's gross. So you look at it, blah, 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 blah. You can maybe mark the text if you want to, but here's the equation. P is the number of phones left. D is the number of days. What's the meaning of 108? Okay, well, 108, let's see. What if I plug in 0 for D? D is the number of days that she's worked. If you haven't worked any days, P is the number of phones left. Okay, so then that would be 108. So if she hasn't worked any days, so at the start of the week, she has 108 phones. Starts each week with 108 phones to fix. You can solve these pretty easily by plugging in 0 somewhere. If they ask you what's the meaning of something, right, what's the meaning? And by the way, what I'm doing here is I'm marking the text. I believe I have this in another video. If I do, I'll put it in the description. If not, I'll do another video on this one sometime. But this is what I call marking the text. So I'm circling numbers and letters, underlining context, and boxing, or you can highlight what they want. So, side note, Kathy starts each week with 108 phones to fix. There you go. That's it. So, 1, there's a ton of reading. 2, I have to figure out context. But it's not a hard level problem because there's not a lot of math. There's like no math. Basically no math. I mean, I plugged in 0, so that's kind of like doing math. I mean, it's like technically doing math, but it's like, I'm not like trying to solve an equation or anything. I'm just like, okay, well, what if the number of days is 0? What would that look like? So there's basically no math, which means I wouldn't say it's a hard level problem because I didn't have to work too hard to get the answer. I had to think a little bit, but I didn't have to it didn't take me more than a minute. It took me longer than a minute to explain what I just did. And actually, just solving it, I just have to kind of look at it a little bit. So that's a medium level problem. All right, and then the technical last, but not really the last, would be hard level problems. So I'm going to do like a light orange on this one maybe. So this is hard problems. All right, so hard level problems are actually pretty interesting because the answer that's in your face is guaranteed to be the wrong answer. So it's like a guaranteed deception. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to spell this wrong. So you can let me know in the comments if I spelled that wrong. But I don't know. Autocorrect usually helps me out here. But it's not because I'm writing it. So guaranteed. What was I saying? Oh my gosh. Guaranteed to have the in-your-face answer. The in-your-face answer wrong. So you can actually use this to your advantage. Because if you think about it, and if you think you can solve it, if you're like, oh wait, what if I just did this? Oh, and then, you solve it in like less than 30 seconds. Well, either 1, you found a really cool trick method, or 2, that's guaranteed to be the wrong answer. Okay? And this takes a little bit of discernment, so it takes a little practice to get the hang of this, but if you do find a legitimate trick way to solve it, you can always check it by plugging it back in and that sort of thing. But if you kind of just are like, hey, what if I did this? Wouldn't that kind of work? If you're thinking that at all and you're like, oh, hey, this would kind of work, then what you're probably going to get is the guaranteed wrong answer, and you can actually cross that off with confidence and know that you've narrowed it down to at least 3 at that point. Okay? So let's look at a hard level question. Let's scroll down a little bit. This one deceptively looks like a hard level question. Number 7. It looks really daunting, but it's actually not that bad. I would maybe say that's a hard level question. I don't know. Let's keep scrolling here. Scrolling. Yeah, maybe 13. I would say 13 is maybe a hard level question. Maybe. This is and the reason why I would maybe categorize this as a hard level question is because I have fractions on fractions. Okay? So, number 1 criteria that I used just now to classify this is that this is time consuming. Okay? It's time consuming. Now, if it's time consuming, that doesn't necessarily make it a hard level question. But then when I look at the answers, these two are pretty close here. I have 2 really solid looking answers, and actually they're exact flips of each other. So it's likely that it's A or B. And then I've got some outliers going on here. So fairly standard standard multiple choice stuff, but it's really time consuming. And then it says if x is greater than 3. This is not really that necessary to say. Mathematically, you can't have the denominator be 0, and that's likely why they're saying that, but they have stuff to throw you off. So they try to throw you off a little bit of the trail. So that's another reason why I would maybe classify this as a low-level hard question, because of these 3 criteria here. So let's go ahead and look at how to solve this. There's a couple different ways you could do it. You could combine these first and then do like a keep change flip, or you can just multiply them both by x plus 2 and x plus 3 on the top and on the bottom. All right, so if I multiply that on the top and on the bottom, then I'd have x plus 2, x plus 3 on the top. So it's likely that it's b, because look, if I multiply all that out, I get b. So even right now, I could probably stop and circle b, unless everything on the bottom cancels. Let's find out if it does. It doesn't look like it's going to, because in order for things to cancel, they have to be opposites, and there's no opposite. There's no minus signs anywhere. So I don't think anything's going to cancel, which means that I'm probably going to have that 2x plus 5 thing on the bottom. So I feel pretty confident in b already, but we'll go ahead and just solve it out anyways. X plus 2 and x plus 3 multiplied by each one of these, it would have to get distributed into that and that. So the x plus 2's would cancel. I'd have x plus 3. And then in the other one, the x plus 3's would cancel, and I'd have x plus 2. And when I combine those, lo and behold, I get 2x plus 5. So there you go. Now, you can maybe make a case for that being a medium question, because that didn't take that long. So you can maybe call that a medium level question. But it is going to be a hard level question if it is very time consuming. So let's say like a system of equations. It just takes a while to do a system of equations, even if you know exactly what you're doing. Okay? And if the multiple choice is really good, if there's really good multiple choices. Okay, so number 15, for instance, has really good multiple choices. But let's talk about 15 in a second. If there's really good multiple choice answers, then you know that it could be a hard level question. So for instance, this right here, those are some good multiple choices. It's standard-ish, but those are some pretty good answers. There's not something that's way off balance here. These are really good multiple choice answers here. There's no clear outlier because 7, 7, 7, this one's like kind of an outlier, 14, 2, but 14 is 7 times 2, so it's not like way off necessarily. I mean, D is like sort of outlier-ish, but it's not like a really good candidate for an outlier. So this is really good multiple choice stuff right here, and that's one of the ways that you can know whether it's easy, medium, or hard, is by how good the multiple choice is. So let's go back up here, because there's one more category that I wanted to talk about, and that is my amazing, patented, tried and true, legendary. And the reason why I want to bring these up is because you want to save legendary questions for last. Hard level problems, one of the ways you know it's hard is because it's slightly time consuming, so you want to save hard level problems to last also. But legendary problems, you want to just look at them, kind of formulate a plan, and even if you know what to do, it's going to be deceptive because it's likely that you won't get the answer really, really soon. Okay? So you want to be really careful, you want to be careful, and you want to save to last. Save to last. All right, for sure. Because they are legendary level questions. So here's how you know. It's basically a hard level question on steroids. And the reason why I chose this particular SAT practice test, which, by the way, this is SAT practice test number 1. The reason why I chose this one is because this one right here, this question, is a legendary level question. And the reason why I think it's a legendary level question is because, why is that not going away? It's like glitching on me here. All right, whatever. The reason why 15 is a legendary level question is, 1, it's time consuming. It's like very time consuming. even if you know exactly how to solve it. And I've solved this one before, but it still takes a long time to solve, even if I know exactly what steps to do, step by step, from start to finish. It's just, let's add a very to this, very time consuming. Even if you know exactly what to do, it still takes you more than a minute to solve this thing. All right, 2, what are the 2 possible values for C? 2 possible values for a C? And there's no way to solve, like, right out for C. And there's 2 possible values. So it's really good multiple choice. Really good multiple choice answers. Okay? And then 3, it's tricky. Okay? We're going to have to use a little bit of outside-the-box thinking on this guy. So here's what you do. We're going to FOIL all this out first. Okay? So it's going to be abx squared plus 7ax plus 2bx plus 14. All right, and that equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14. Okay, so I just FOILed out the stuff that's on the left. Notice the 14s cancel. You don't have to worry about that stuff. And then an interesting thing happens. So I've got way more letters than I do equations. Normally, if you solve a system of equations, you have to have at least just as many equations as you do letters. So there's no way to actually solve, or is there? Because I do actually have 2 equations. I have 2 equations, but I have 4 variables. So I don't think it's possible to solve for everything, but we can solve for some things. And let's look at how we do that. So this is something that you don't typically learn in school, but when you have 2 things on 2 sides of the equation, and they're both x squareds, they are actually supposed to be equal. So that means that abx squared has to be equal to 15x squared, which means ab equals 15. Then I can use this equation and narrow down what a and b could be. I'm basically solving a system of equations here. Well, if I need to multiply 2 numbers to get 15, 1 times 15, but 1 plus 15 is not 8. 3 and 5. Hey, that works. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 plus 5 is 8, so a and b are 3 and 5. So then, here's the other reason why this is a legendary level question. That is a really good wrong answer. Look how great this wrong answer is here. 3 and 5. I just solved for a and b. And look at that. That's one of the answers. Right? If you start to solve it, and then you get an answer, and then you're like, oh, hey, that's one of the answer choices. Be really careful. On hard level questions, when you start solving and you get somewhere, and you see that as an answer choice, that's guaranteed to be the wrong answer because you're not done. We want 2 possible values for C. Well, 7a and 2b make up all of my x stuff, and that's equal to C. And then I'd have to plug in either 3 and 5 or 5 and 3. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 10 equals C, which is 31, which is this answer, so it's D. Right? And then, of course, if you have time, you definitely want to plug in the 5 and the 3 just to make sure you get the 41 option to check your work on that. But that was a hard problem. Even if I was solving this, and I've solved this several times now, even if I'm solving this just for myself, it's going to take me like roughly a minute, even though I've done this several times before, just because it's very time consuming, number 1. Number 2, really good multiple choice. And number 3, it's tricky. So I hope that was helpful. This has been Mr. Kyle Myers Mathematics. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stuff in the future. Awesome free stuff. And speaking of free stuff, I have an awesome free guide called The 5 Math Mistakes Everyone Makes and How to Avoid Them. Really long title, but I figured the title says it all. So go ahead and grab that free PDF guide. It's a really good short read, and it's really eye-opening and enlightening. So go check that out. It's free on my website. And I hope to see you really soon in another